Welcome to Ecom Cowboy. This is D2C's daily show where we believe ads are not bad, ignorance is expensive, and the American dream is alive and well on the internet today. It is Thursday, March 26, 2026. We're brought to you by Incense, Seguno, Postscript, and AMP, and we have a jam-packed show for you today. Shopify's Agentic storefronts are here, available now on chat and everywhere inside of the various AI interfaces that you are talking to every day and in every way. It's so much better than instant checkout, which has been deprecated for OpenAI. We're going to dive into it and hear from the video of Harley Finkelstein himself. The verdict against Meta and YouTube that is landscape changing, principle setting, and may eventually impact e-commerce in a tremendous way has been rolled out. The plaintiff has been awarded $3 million with another $300 million case adjudication on top of it. There are literal thousands of other cases to come. What does this mean for ecom? We're going to get into it. And we will also be joined by Connor Gross, founder of Constant Hire, and John Mark Perro, founder of Levers Health. As always, I am joined by my partner in crime, Colin Doherty. Get in here, Colin.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let us go then. Shopify, my friend, isn't just powering stores alone anymore. It is powering the entire new AI shopping experience. This has rolled forth yesterday. I want to read a little bit to you, and then we'll hear from Harley himself via video. Starting this week, millions of merchants can sell to ChatGPT users via Agentic storefronts, different from instant checkout. Agentic storefronts give merchants out-of-the-box access to major AI channels, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, AI Mode, and Google Search, and the Gemini app, managed centrally from the Shopify admin. For merchants, it's equally seamless. Products become discoverable in ChatGPT by default via Agentic storefronts, with no separate integrations, no apps, and no transaction fees beyond standard processing rates. Great news for us all. I want everyone to see this if they did not. Jack, play us a little bit of Harley's video here. I may stop you halfway through so that we can really focus in on this. Let's hear from Harley, the man himself.
Millions of brands are now shoppable inside ChatGPT. Let that sink in for a second. Hundreds of millions of people use ChatGPT every day. And now they can discover and buy products from Shopify merchants without ever leaving their chat. This is an incredible shopping experience, and it's a huge opportunity for merchants. So here's how it works. A shopper asks ChatGPT for a product recommendation. Then ChatGPT surfaces the most relevant products.
All right, stop us there, Jack. Stop us there. I want everybody to see this, okay?
Yeah.
This is the Agentic storefront. This is different than instant checkout, okay?
Right.
At first, we were going to have you check out directly there in ChatGPT, and chat takes a percentage on top and blah, blah, blah. It turns out that was really hard to roll out, and it wasn't working. They deprecated it entirely, and now what we have is this in-app browser experience that's seamless, still allows your brand and your website to be shown forth, and allows people to buy inside of chat and other AI experiences while not taking a haircut on top with processing rates. Colin, do you want to finish this video? Do you want to run this a little more and then come back?
Sure.
Let's run it a little more, Jack.
The catalog. And when a shopper decides to buy, the purchase happens on the merchant's own storefront through an in-app browser. What this means is that the shopper never leaves the chat. But the shopping experience, exactly as the brand intended, carries right through.
Yes.
Subscriptions, bundles, pricing, payments, Shop Pay, all of it. So for merchants, it is effortless. No additional complexity. Your products become shoppable by default. And your relationship with your customers is yours.
Okay, stop us there, Jack.
And if you're not...
I love this. I am so bullish on this, and I think it's even better than what OpenAI had proposed. You can bring us back here, Jack. I think it's better than what we were hearing we would get in the first place with instant checkout, which had big promise, but was difficult to actually execute. I think this is so much better because we get the e-commerce brand store experience as founders and marketers have designed and proposed that they want customers to go through. Your thoughts on this, Colin? I think it's groundbreaking and landscape changing.
Yeah, this is massive for actually all three parties involved. So, really big for OpenAI. They get their first brush with consumer brands. So, they get to start ingesting some of this data. They start to bake out kind of the V1 version of this and kind of how they're building into consumer. This is also really big for Shopify because they get more exposure and they have a new value add they're offering brands. On top of that, we'll sneak this in there. The Shopify still collects that fee because they're actually checking out with the Shopify website instead of through OpenAI directly. So a nice little bump to Shopify as well. And then the brand obviously gets more exposure. This is a new distribution channel. This is the new shiny toy. How will this play out with the LLMs as we break out into the other ones like Gemini, Claude, and etc.? I don't know, but it's going to be very interesting to watch the next 6, maybe 3 months on how this plays out for consumer.
The thing that I have loved about what's going on with TikTok Shop, thing that I loved about what's happening with Meta and Stripe is let's push purchase as close to discoverability as possible. When people discover how quick can I get them over the finish line, that's what's great about allowing people to purchase right then and there. This in principle is the exact same thing, except I get to own what that checkout experience looks like. I cannot do that on TikTok Shop. I cannot do that with Meta and Stripe, whatever that configuration is going to look like. It's great that it's right there, but here inside of chat, people discover me, they discover my product, and now not only can they purchase right then and there, we've collapsed the funnel, we've closed the gap in terms of awareness to getting people across the finish line, but now I can control what that experience looks and feels like. And the thing that I think is important about this, number one, these other tools like TikTok Shop, Meta Stripe, I have some concern that it's just overly utilitarian. And a lot of times people need education. They need to come to your website. There's a reason that they need to be there. It also allows you to imbue your brand a little more. It allows people to get to know you, your colorways, your thoughts, your copy on page, etc., why your PDP looks like it does. All of that is important. Why? Because it's frou-frou and fancy. No, it's important because your brand really in e-commerce, especially call it sub mid-market, your brand is really, it's the values of your founder. It is the personhood of the creator who has brought this product and company to life. And so allowing people to experience that while at the same time shortening the distance between awareness and discovery and getting people across the finish line for purchase, I think is incredible. And I think this has worked out in greater favor for e-commerce generally, because now OpenAI is not going to take their cut on top of instant checkout. We just still have the normal Shopify experience, and we can bring people into the company like we would like them to by actually coming to the website.
Yeah, and I also think they got rid of minimums as part of this. So originally, when we first heard that article, it was like $1 million to try to get into this was the minimum. So I think they cut that out, which is great. So
that may have been on the ad side. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, but it's still, I think that's part of this as well. I could be wrong, but I think there's also a minimum that you have to have in order to get into this.
I don't think so, bro. This is
Wow.
from reading this article. Let me read to you and give you the deets on this. This is
Just
why
an
I'm
opt-in?
excited about it. Yes, it's an opt-in and it's available to everybody right now. Okay, everybody who's on Shopify, this is available to. Let me read some of this. This is why this is really exciting. Okay. Managed centrally from the Shopify admin, Agentic Storefronts give merchants out-of-the-box access, out-of-the-box access to major AI channels managed centrally from the Shopify admin, and with Agentic plan now publicly available, brands not using Shopify for e-commerce can add products to the Shopify catalog to reach shoppers. So this is baked into your Shopify store. Hundreds of millions of ChatGPT users can now shop from Shopify merchants. I also want to highlight this for you too. There's a little kind of a throwaway line here that's especially important because of the Meta and Stripe announcement. Like, hey, is Stripe cutting Shopify out, etc.? I want to read this to you. Okay. Thousands of merchants are already selling in Microsoft Copilot, powered by Shopify, Shop Pay, coming soon to Copilot, blah, 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 on Google, Gemini, etc., etc. And soon, UCP, Universal Commerce Protocol, will power checkout in some Meta experiences. What those are, we don't know. But with some Meta experiences, buyers can make purchases with a single tap. So it sounds like there's going to be some Meta native integration here as well. That, I don't know, maybe it ends up looking something like the ChatGPT experience here. But this is available now. It's available now. Wow. And people can have access and be discovered and buy and purchase. And it wouldn't be here without Shopify. That's what.
Yeah. Good for them for bringing this over the finish line, even though it seemed maybe 2 weeks ago that this deal was going to fall apart.
Oh gosh, which would have been a nightmare. But yeah. I think this has worked out even better than instant checkout, and I'm very thankful for that. That is the current thing. Before we move on to a couple very important platform stories that are relevant here now, especially for e-commerce, let's talk about Postscript. Ladies and gentlemen, focus is an amazing thing. And when you obsess over one aspect of business, of a goal that you have, you get outsized results. And that's what Postscript does with SMS marketing. That's why when people make the switch, they see a plus 22% increase in revenue. And I know whatever solution you have right now probably does 6 or 7 things for you, and that's convenient, but you're not getting the results that you could. And the reason Postscript does that, now I got a lot more than plus 22%. We went from making very little money to being a top 1% account on the entire platform. The reason that they can is because of what they are doing with their AI shopper, not leaving your customers on red when they text you back, getting rid of that awful autoresponder and allowing AI to put profit into your pocket. Go to the conversational report, direct-to-consumer.co/the conversational report. You'll get all of the deets. This is a huge aspect of making more money for your business that has been entirely overlooked. Many thanks for Postscript being part of the show. Colin, there has been a landmark verdict that has rolled out against Meta and YouTube that I did not think would come forth. I didn't think that there would be anything that would challenge Big Social, but I think this is a landmark case that could set precedent for changing the mechanics of Big Social entirely. And if Big Social changes, obviously that means big changes for e-commerce. Might be the first real big crack in Big Social's armor. After years of allegations of harm by youth advocacy groups and corresponding denials from corporate, Meta and YouTube have been found liable for causing mental duress to an adolescent girl. They call her Kaylee, or KGM, in the report, who brought her action in 2023. This was going on for about 3 years. Since she turned 20, she's been awarded $3 million. But on the back side of that, the larger issue is precedent. Now that Meta and YouTube have been found liable for this, there are over 1,600 other California plaintiffs who have brought similar suits. Okay, so there's a big stack of court cases behind this. And on top of that, this precedent that has been set could affect 235 additional plaintiffs who are suing TikTok, Snapchat, Meta, and Google in the federal courts right now. And there was just a New Mexico jury that found Meta responsible for unconscionable behavior in designing platforms that harmed children and ordered it to pay $375 million. Okay, now I know that these platforms have many B's, billions and billions, but it's the precedent. It's the precedent that's being set here with Instagram beauty filters, with unending scroll, etc., that causes damage that may affect how social and thus all our social advertising plays out here forward. I was very surprised at this. I did not think that this would be a likely outcome simply because, I mean, everybody in those platforms gives money to the government, regardless of who is in control, either party, right or left. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think there will be something that comes of this, or is this just going to get pushed up to the Supreme Court and get waylaid until nothing ever happens?
This is brutal. I mean, this is not a good precedent to set. I mean, I could tell you right here, I'm going to be suing Hershey's chocolate because the chocolate's so addicting and it keeps making me fat. But it's like, at the end of the day, I think we have to have some ownership as individuals and say, hey, you individually have to have ownership over how much you're going to be using these platforms. Like, I'm not sitting here suing Hershey's chocolate. I'm saying, okay, Colin, you can have a Hershey's bar maybe once a week, but you shouldn't have it every single week. Same goes for social media as an appetite and a diet. You shouldn't be consuming Meta for 9 hours every single day, which is what a lot of people are doing. And then they're obviously under mental duress because the feed is just hooked to show you the worst things ever to keep you on platform. This is a horrible precedent to set. I wish that people would take more personal ownership. But again, this is America. People will sue everybody over every little thing. I mean, the great example is the McDonald's coffee cup. It was a little too hot. Yeah. I think that lady got like $10 million.
She did. She got a lot of money. She did.
She got a bag. And for this one girl to get $3 million, who is her lawyer? Like, what's going on? This guy's going to be all over the county with billboards.
Yeah. Very
He's gonna be the next billboard guy on the highway where it's like, does Meta hurt you?
That's true.
Have you been hurt by Meta?
There's already a slew of these cases. I mean, at least just under 1,600 in California alone. Another 200 plus related to Snap and a slew of other platforms. I actually, funny enough, I knew the expert witness for the McDonald's case. He started the biomedical engineering school at UT. He was a professor at UT. So I have some deets on that story. But
that's cool.
Remember, Colin, this precedent. I mean, this was set with the big tobacco. That's why it's so huge and potentially landscape changing. Is because even though all of those points, I think totally relevant, and you could make the same arguments about tobacco. It's like, hey, like, we know it's bad. Okay, don't do it. Like, take some ownership. But there is a reason why, they have been limited and they cannot advertise in certain ways, et cetera. And so I think the bigger implication is like, let's say this continues to play out and takes multiple years. I would imagine it takes
forever.
5 years, maybe a decade, maybe longer. But it could mean at the end of the day that the way we can advertise on these various platforms, Meta, YouTube, it gets tweaked. Yeah. If endless scroll is no longer an option, okay, well, how do I get my ads in there? Which and I get it. I know that I use social too much, and I'm terminally online. But at the same time, I'm kind of incentivized to. And if you can reach the right eyeballs in the right way, and these are the biggest advertising channels literally on planet Earth. Amazon, Google, Meta, all three in another couple of years will have more ad spend dumped into them each than the entirety of traditional media in total. And so, it's big. It's big. And I don't know what the implications are now. Probably nothing, not much, except they're going to have to pay out for some court cases. But it could be very interesting to see what happens over the next 3-5 years on this, especially as things move up in the court ranks. Meta says we respectfully disagree with the verdict and are evaluating our legal options. Interesting to see.
I will give everyone the advice that our community sometimes gives everyone as well, which is go outside and touch some grass. Instead of, being online for so long. Like, my cover photo for Twitter is from you know what it is, right?
Yeah, I do.
It's like you've lost context. You're online too much. Like, you've lost the plot. Like, you get into this psychosis level where you're thinking that like this is fully real life, where it's like, go outside, go call a loved one, go call a friend, go ride a bike. Like, you just gotta unplug for a bit.
Go ride a bike.
Yeah.
And put on your
Get
Meta
some barbecue.
Ray-Bans. Put on your Meta Ray-Bans while you go, so that I can advertise directly over your eyeballs. Okay.
There you go. There you go. Nice. And
Okay.
watch you all the time.
And watch you and have
All
all
the
of your
time.
content reviewed in Nairobi. You know?
Oh, man.
Which is a real thing. It is a real thing.
Oh, man.
In other news, very positive here. TikTok Shop is set to split return costs with sellers. And I know that this is a little hard to read here. This actually comes to us from Thread. Okay. I think this is the first thread we have ever featured. It's not X. Okay. It's Thread. TikTok Shop to split cost of returns shipping with sellers. TikTok Shop rolls out co-funded return shipping model from April 8th. Cost split on non-seller fault returns like sizing or change of mind. Higher shop performance score reduces seller contributions. Seller fault returns, including defects and damage, remain fully seller paid. And there's more details here inside of the letter. What is the co-funding model? Under the co-funding model, the return shipping fee liability will be split between TikTok Shop and the seller. TikTok Shop will contribute towards the return shipping fee. However, depending on a seller's return rate and shop performance score, SPS, TikTok Shop may contribute percentage more to the returns shipping fee, which will reduce the share of the total cost for sellers. Very interesting. I've been very inclined toward ByteDance. I know TikTok US is no longer owned by ByteDance, but I've been in big favor of all the ad credits and all the things that they have handed out over the years. This one I did not expect. I mean, especially for apparel sizing and, no seller fault returns, et cetera. It's a huge problem with apparel. It's a huge problem when, I just want to change my sizing, et cetera. It's like, great. Well, I already spent a lot of money on you. And now I've got to eat the shipping back for you to send it back and give you another one. I'm not even profitable on this interaction anymore. I think this is excellent. Your thoughts on this?
This is amazing. I mean, this is also TikTok endearing themselves to merchants just to offer this. You know what I mean? We weren't really even expecting this. This is like finding a nice little Hershey Kiss inside of your ice cream, and you're like, what the heck? How'd this get in here? This is delicious. I didn't want this, but I'll take it. This is great.
Yeah.
I love this. This helps margin a ton as well. TikTok continues to legitimize itself as, I'm trying to be this channel. I'm trying to take on Meta. We had yesterday about the total digital advertising spend. My bold prediction to you yesterday was that TikTok is going to be that next big channel. I am still doubling down on that. I truly believe it. I think they're going after the right demographic. I think they're doing all the right things, and they're trying to make brands win as much as possible on there. I'm just a big fan of this. I'm a huge, huge fan of this. When it is better for the merchant, I always love that.
I think it's especially poignant when we talked with Jordan West, who is the Blitz strategy extraordinaire and one of the biggest TikTok Shop social commerce agencies in North America. When he told us, don't expect to make money the first 3 months. That was a bar. I mean, that's a big kind of hit to take. Especially for cash flowing D2C brands that are like, I need to be first purchase profitable. That's what I'm used to. We've designed this whole business around that. And he's saying, huge opportunity for you. Don't expect to make any money in the first quarter of doing this. Okay, that's a horse pill. That's a big pill to swallow. But something like this makes that a lot easier to take. Finding continual ways. This offer here gets you a few ad credits. Hey, people are going to take it back, return it to you. We'll split that with you. All of these kind of things they further endear themselves to the community and to the operators who are at the helm of all these companies. And I'm bullish. I'm bullish. Of course, I'm bullish on social commerce, live selling, and everything that TikTok is doing there. But big win here. Pulling back. Hey, we're forcing you to fulfill through us. Pulling that back because of the outcry from merchants Love that. And then number 2 here, hey, we're going to split some of that cheddar with you when people return. Big fan. Good on them.
The biggest winner of this is going to probably be clothing companies who have to deal with the most returns due to sizing. And so this will probably be the biggest winner categorically who's coming from this.
Absolutely. Good on them. And now, speaking of apparel, we've got 3 apparel stories coming up. But before we get there, let's talk about Incense, ladies and gentlemen. Don't we all want better ads? Yeah, we do. And we want actual humans to touch them and be in them and be featured in them and help us create them. But that process is so disjointed, manually negotiating usage rights, et cetera, et cetera. That's why Incense exists, okay? This is the all-in-one UGC and influencer marketing platform that actually makes creative scalable, okay? Vetted creator marketplace, automated influencer outreach, built-in campaign management. You get content in as little as 14 days. And this is so much better than just finding a rando TikTok that you hope will change your company. You get the UGC Playbook 2.0. This was just released by Incense. We had Danil, CEO, co-founder of Incense, on the show. How to make Andromeda work for you. Accept it. We are here. Modular UGC. This is the playbook for 2026. Here forward, how to make creative work for you. Many thanks for Incense being part of the show. Now, you have discussed this. This was one of your big calls from the first of the year. And it is playing out, and I think it will continue to play out. And this story is just a manifestation of your IQ, sir. Apparel impact on GLP-1s. GLP-1s are literally changing the apparel business at its core, at its structure, okay? And I want to give our listeners some of these highlights. How many people, how many households in America are using GLP-1s? What would you guess? Think about it. 23%. That's even more. It's even more than what it was when we last referenced this data point. 23%. It's nearly a quarter. Nearly 1 out of 4
in the U.S.
In the U.S.
Oh, that's going up to 50.
I mean, probably so. Probably
It's going
so.
up to 50.
And you know what happens when you lose weight? As is happening to me right now. I'm down 30 pounds. No GLP-1s for me. No GLP-1s.
How are you feeling?
I feel great. A line that my good friend Taylor Holiday has repeated often has come to me several times over the last few days. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. You know what I'm saying? Let's
go.
Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels, baby. And America's feeling the same thing. You know what happens when you lose weight? What do you start thinking about?
New clothes,
baby.
Trying to fit right. Yeah,
exactly. 80% of people on GLP-1s, so now we're talking about a quarter, 80% of that quarter of the U.S. population, they expect wardrobe changes. And that means specifically going from plus sizes to medium or smaller sizes. So it's not just a like, oh gosh, I got a problem. No, this is it's an identity change. It's a lifestyle change in order to maintain and look your best and feel your best as you are lowering here. So the highlights here are, with all of this taking place, 55% have already purchased new clothing or footwear primarily for that reason. The question is like, how much does this change the apparel business? And it's a huge amount. Let me read some of this to you. Some plus size retailers are already feeling the effects of increased GLP-1 usage. Destination XL reported its fourth quarter total sales were down 6% year over year with a net loss of $29 million. Retailer CEO told analysts that GLP-1 usage, thought to be used by about a quarter of its customers, was causing many customers to move around in size and causing volatility in its business. Women's plus size retailers Torrid also experienced a sharp drop over the fourth quarter, reporting a 14% drop in sales. Now that, you expect fourth quarter we go up, okay? The fourth quarter to go down 14%. not good in the midst of an ongoing turnaround. Torrid closed 151 stores in 2025 and has lowered prices on about a third of its current stock. And so I think if GLP-1s is bringing sexy back, then everybody's going to want a new wardrobe, and there's just fundamentally going to be less extra larges around. And I know I have worn triple X's before. Okay. I've worn double X's. I have been a large man for much of my life, but there's going to be literal less purchases by at least a quarter of the US population. And it's dramatically affecting the apparel and retail business.
Yeah. Imagine how this affects demand forecasting for a brand
Oh,
for sizing.
nightmare.
And nightmare. So now you have to turn on a dime. And basically, for those who are listening, back in the heyday, back in college, I used to have a men's shoe brand. And basically, you would have to order a bunch of units. Yeah. You had to order a bunch of units. So you had to order, X amount of 9.5s. You had to order X amount of 10s. And there was kind of this bell curve of most people have 9.5, 10, 11. And then you kind of have those, special sizing where you order a little bit less. There's this bell curve of units you order. Same thing goes for apparel. But as we shift more with the healthier folks, that's going to aggressively push this bell curve towards small, medium, basically for everything. And so I don't know what you do with this extra sizing. I mean, you're probably using a lot less fabric too. So this is probably impacting the actual textile mills themselves. There's a lot of knock-on effects that you can go through with all of this. I think it's a good thing, though. This is showcasing that hopefully America is getting healthier. Our obesity rate, I think, finally plateaued and dropped for the first time in a couple years, which is great, baby, because it was going up and to the right in not a good way. And so that's really amazing. I see there's going to be more knock-on effects for these types of medications. Some not good. I will say that.
Yeah, some not good. And this is almost like, and you especially see this among celebrities, it's almost like the revival of like heroin chic. I don't know if you remember that trend from so long ago. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to play out, and I don't know what to say other than to tell Claude, hey, factor in all of the macro trends here and make my forecast accurate. Not my expertise really, but it's worth a try.
Yeah.
Next story here that I find really encouraging, but I also just have questions about because I wonder how many of us are going to actually buy made in USA golf gloves. This is the first of its kind. Okay. And this comes to us from Michael Baker, who is tweeting about this, aiming for a summer release, the only made in USA golf gloves. This is close to what the first batch will look like. 0.4 millimeter soft sheepskin from Cabretta raw hides, leather made in Gloversville, New York, sewn in NYC, cotton elastic made in USA, Velcro made in USA. The brand is called Final Pairing. And, as there is this trend, you can bring us back here, Jack, as there's this trend of reindustrialization in America, which I love. My family is personally steeped in factory working. My great granddad laid the concrete foundation for the paper mill in Lufkin, Texas, and worked graveyard there his whole life. Okay. And the paper mill was all of the jobs for Lufkin, Texas. My granddad worked his entire life at that paper mill. My uncle worked at that paper mill. My dad would have if he hadn't broken his wrist and not been able to. But my point is that now the paper mill's gone. Okay. All of those jobs are gone. Lufkin, Texas, completely changed. We need and we want these kind of manufacturing factory jobs. We want this back in America. I mean, it fires me up to think about it. But at the same time, I know that when it comes to me, and I know the data and stats on this, Alex, hey, it's Alex P was tweeting and writing about this week. When it comes to actually purchasing made in the USA right now, people love it and they celebrate it, but they don't buy. They still go with whoever can get me the best deal, and whatever that matrices for highest quality at the lowest price is. It's not a huge driver for actually purchasing and converting. And so I celebrate this, but at the same time, I hope that I want this to actually work. And I know that there are companies like Anatar and other manufacturers that are about this and doing this, but I hope that consumer behavior follows. And right now, I think the data tells us that it's not quite there yet. You have any thoughts on this? I want this to happen and I want it to change. I'm not sure how it actually works out.
This is up to the founder and the marketing that they're going to do behind this. We've seen with Kaya Rhodes that, she's been able to do this, USA built. I can tell you right now the exact ads that I would build for all of this based off of the made in the USA and who I would go after target demo wise. There's a massive audience for this. Please do not be fooled. You still have a huge demographic in the United States alone who will gobble this up and be really, really proud that this is made in America. And yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit harder. You're going to have more premium pricing for sure, but this is down to the operator. Can the operator execute on this? Because this is basically the angle you're going to have to take. And you're going to have to take this angle to rationalize your premium pricing. So I think you can still pull it off.
Well, I hope that it works not only for Michael, but for all of the manufacturers and for the brands that are doing this and doing it more and more. Of course, we had our guy from West Major who is doing the same thing.
There you go.
I find that perhaps with robotics and the development, Jeff Bezos is raising $100 billion. Not like he needs to raise it, but he's looking to raise $100 billion to buy manufacturers and, bring robotics and for the reindustrialization of America. And so maybe there is real hope and maybe there's a growing audience. And hopefully the costs and the difference between quality and cost that people can get overseas right now, maybe that will continue to even out and level out as those kind of robotics and AI enablements, et cetera, come here. I want it to work so bad because it's in my blood, it's in my blood. I want it to work so bad. And there are companies that are doing it. American Giant, right, is the big, American Giant is an example.
Still big.
I hope that Michael Baker's USA made golf gloves are the same, and we've got to get Kaya on here. To tout and trumpet the reindustrialization of America, we've got to get her on here. We have the one and only Connor Gross that is coming into the show right now. But before he gets here, let's talk about AMP. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know your core key metrics, your CAC, your LTV, are you trending toward forecast or not, up, down, left, right? If you can't answer how your business is doing in a sentence or two, I'm not sure you know how your business is doing. That's why we love AMP, their favorite tool of mine, Lifetimely. It allows you and your team to answer all of those questions in one concise, visually pleasing space and place. You use Lifetime to get all their other apps and tools for free that are designed to put profit into your pocket. And what they are doing with their AI is truly unique. Not just you prompting it prompting you. This offer, this cohort, this product, cut it, try this, go there, do that. Go to useamp.com, test drive that platform today. Tell them that Colin and I sent you. Many thanks for them being part of the show. Now, the gentleman that is coming in here sees a side of e-commerce that very few of us see. He knows who's hiring, how much those roles are making, what the best candidates are, and how things are actually operating inside many of the D2C darlings in our space. He also is a bit of a business renaissance man. The guy's done real estate. He's exited this. He's doing that. And he's everywhere. And he also hails from a beloved part of the country for me, the New England. He went to Northeastern. I'm talking about the one and only Connor Gross, founder of Constant Hire. Get in here, Connor.
What's up, gentlemen? Good to see you. How y'all doing?
Great hat.
Man, We're
Love
doing even
that.
better. We're doing even better now that you are here, Connor, and we love that hat. And man, I would love if you would just start out and give us a little context here, my friend. I heard you make this statement. I know you're helping brands, go from hire 1 to hire 100 and beyond. Man, I heard you make this statement, and I'd love you to give context for it, that hiring should be your last resort for cash flowing D2C brands, especially at the beginning, 0 to 1 million and beyond. Man, give us context for that, because that is a bar. And if that's good advice that we all need to take away, we need to put that one in our pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally what it comes down to is you look at most other business models, like let's take software as an example, no costs, oftentimes an outbound sales motion or inbound marketing for a lot of how you're acquiring customers. And so very little advertising cost. And you compare that to something like e-commerce, where the vast majority of your cash flow is getting tied up in inventory. The vast majority of your variable expenses are going to go to Facebook, Google, whatever, from an advertising standpoint. And so you have all of this money that you want to put into the two things that are driving growth so much, product and marketing. And then the last thing that you want to think about is, well, who can I be hiring to add to my payroll to do all of this too? And you have so many brands out there that are able to scale to $1, $5, $10 million a year without making a whole lot of hires, that candidly speaking, like if you can avoid hiring, you should. The reality is that at a certain point, certain things start to break. And if you start a business to try to get freedom, and then all of a sudden you're answering customer support tickets, or you're making all the Klaviyo flows, whatever, you want to get to a point where you're like, okay, who can I bring in that can help me take this to the next level? And that's where we come in.
Wow.
I find that very compelling, and it's great framing from you, especially because that's what you do. And so when people hear that at first blush, I think that's really good. Go ahead, Colin.
Connor, what is the hardest role right now to hire for in e-commerce? I mean, you probably see a lot of data and you're seeing all of the back end and all of the conversations. What is that hardest hire?
So I can take this a couple different directions, but probably the hardest hire is when somebody books a sales call with us and they say, I want a head of growth. And it's the hardest hire because nobody defines it. Like there's other ones out there that do creative strategists, TikTok shop managers, and like those are hard for different reasons, primarily because they're like newer. And so like you don't have somebody who's been in this category for 10, 20 years that are doing it. But when it comes to the head of growth, I think what a lot of people expect is for somebody to kick them out of their business and replace them on their entire role. And I think that is it sits the wrong way with a lot of people. And we've been really successful with a lot of performance marketing, growth related roles. But what it usually comes down to is getting on that call and being like, okay, great. You want a head of growth. Do you want the senior most growth strategist who's doing media buying, CRO, and influencing creative strategy from an agency to be super hands-on keyboard? They're going to be tactical. You're sub $10 million. You need somebody who's doing the work, not just managing. Or do you want somebody who's built out an entire growth team of 10?
Yeah.
Big $100 million plus CPG brands, they want the latter. They want like somebody who can build out the entire architecture, the team, do media mix modeling, and like actually understand the teams. Whereas a lot of these smaller brands, sub 20 million, they just want somebody who's hands-on keyboard. They want to bring the agency in-house, or they want to find somebody who can like actually read their Triple Whale, North Beam, whatever their analytics stack looks like, and make decisions so that the founder is not the sole person who is driving growth. So it's a pretty undefined role, but we try to figure out the seniority level and work backwards from there. Only other call out there is like making sure that anyone that we bring in-house from them is very channel specific for how they're getting customers today. I've seen a lot of people come to us after having a growth hire horror story where they say, we scaled up on Amazon and we used TikTok shop creators and we're a $20 million brand and I hired this head of growth. Their whole background was paid social. We never did paid social and we just couldn't crack the code and we wasted 6 months and $150,000 and all of this stuff, testing this stuff out. And so making sure that whoever you're hiring is great at the channel that you are already good at is very important.
That's great insight. And Connor, I find what you said about head of growth being a really tricky thing. I totally agree with you, because a lot of times on the first scenario that you painted, let's say somebody sub 20, and they're looking for somebody to pour gasoline on. Maybe you get them from an agency, you get them from somewhere. I think essentially what a lot of times people are looking for is they're looking for somebody who will own the responsibility of that growth, which honestly, you could argue actually that's the job of the CEO. But at the same time, you don't want to pay C-suite level. And at the same time, in order to do that, you really need to find somebody who maybe they've done it before at a smaller level, but were somehow involved, but didn't own that responsibility. Because when you do find somebody like that, you need to pay them. You need to pay them a whole lot more. And so you have to find this diamond in the rough. I mean, that seems like incredibly hard. That seems incredibly hard to do.
It's hard. I do think there's an audience of people who like, I think what you're looking for is you're looking for the most senior individual contributor that you can possibly find. There are people out there who just don't want to build and manage teams, and they want to just growth hack all day long.
Yeah.
And they also want to get paid well. Like they're very senior in their careers, but like they just don't want to deal with all the people nonsense. That's who most of these people should honestly be looking for. That role peaks out around like 200K. You look at some of these like chief growth officers, ignoring equity aside, like bonus, base, all of that stuff, those typically come out to like 350 plus like a hefty bonus based on performance, just from a comp plan standpoint.
That's
wow. What are brands looking for right now that they weren't probably a year ago? Because I mean, in that year, there have been so many changes. I mean, Claude has released a new update every single day this month, it seems. Literally. And so that's probably affecting the job description, I would imagine, and the requirements that they're coming in for the skills. So it's like, now you have to know Claude. Now you have to know XYZ. What has changed in that year?
Yeah, so the two biggest changes, I'll start with the AI stuff because you called that out. There is a very weird misnomer right now, or like a catch-22. Everyone wants to see candidates using AI in their workflow, in their day-to-day, whatever. A lot of consumer brands tend to administer, especially in marketing and creative roles, some form of test project to see how well somebody can think. A lot of candidates use AI for those test projects or roles or whatever. And it's this weird catch-22 of like, okay, I want them to be using AI, but not for this, to see how they think. And so that's a very like weird situation to be in, where it's like, okay, how much can you use it while at the same time not just copying and pasting a ChatGPT response, with all of the hyperbole and like weird formatting and AI slop and stuff like that. So that's been one thing that's definitely changed over the last 6 to 12 months. As far as roles and where that shifted, the channel that's really opening up right now is kind of pushing back towards organic reach. So you're seeing a lot of these brands and social platforms with the For You page on TikTok and the algorithm changing across Instagram and Facebook to be less friends and family to more what is the best content. All of these brands are now shifting into, okay, well, rather than just purely doing a pay to play ad spend, let me go after this creator-led channel and this initiative in order to figure out like how can I seed as many creators as possible. And so you're having a lot of these brands spring up TikTok shop managers, creator coaches, organic social creators like creator like affiliate playbooks, things like that. That there's always been affiliates, there's always been organic social media, but now you're having these people who are taking those channels and thinking about it from a performance marketing standpoint. And so, like if I got like this water bottle for this house soda water thing, for example, they'll find 1,000 creators on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. They'll bring them into a Discord and they'll basically say like, hey, everyone talks about how this is so much better than Mountain Spring. So like make sure to make that like your opening hook and make sure that like whatever visual you're doing, it's something along the lines of like including an Awala water bottle or like something like that, because we know that that has a really strong hook rate. And so it's people that are thinking about organic in a more performance driven way.
I like that.
That's wild.
It seems like there is a blurring of lines that has continually taken place and is only doing so more. And sometimes people call that person a creative strategist, somebody who's like heavily involved in organic social and also has, output with affiliates and creators. And is inside of the ad account. And it's like there's been a blurring of social media, paid management. It's like a great blurring that has taken place. Whatever that person is called, what does hiring pay? What does it look like? For that new person who's overseeing maybe TikTok and creators, and also informing ad creative and looking at organic with a more performative, kind of lens. What's the pay scale look like?
So it depends. I think what's hard is, like, I can give you averages across all of these. Everyone wants, when they're working with a recruiter at the very least, to work with the top 10%. And therefore the averages on the years of experience don't necessarily meet the standard as much. So I would say, like, typically if you're trying to find somebody who can lead creator growth from a TikTok shop standpoint, it's very similar to what you were probably paying somebody who was doing affiliates and influencers prior, right? Because there's affiliates, influencers, now there's creators. So I don't know, ballpark 90 to 120. Like that should get you somebody who's pretty solid individual contributor, maybe overseas employees using Yuka AI and like managing the strategy. That should be good from a TikTok shop standpoint. Individual creative strategist, 120 to 140. You can have that also scale up quite a bit based on seniority and like how long someone's been around the block for. And there's so much stuff that influences this, like, how great are their hooks and like what is their hold time and stuff like that. Like that's all great and important, but also how do they build out their creative processing system? How do they structure strategists versus post-production editors and designers? Like that's all really important stuff when getting into the weeds here. But the other thing to call out, and not to rant on this for too long, but like what you said about the title stuff, it is the most confusing industry on the planet.
That's so true.
Again, I'm going to give another example. Like you go to software, you're an account executive, you do sales, you're an account manager, you're like a CSM basically. Like there's a lot of really similar overlapping roles. What's so confusing in consumer brands and consumer goods and e-commerce in general is that like you can effectively be hiring somebody to do performance marketing and their title's an e-commerce manager. And most e-commerce managers are only on-site CRO work, maybe like touch retention sometimes. So there's so much overlap that you just don't know what somebody actually does until you talk to them. And it just takes up so much freaking time. And unfortunately, I think that's only going to become more and more of a thing as productivity and output goes up because of AI.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What's really interesting is I think you sit at maybe even higher than the 10,000 foot view of the health of the industry. So you can start to notice macro trends of total job openings and actually see quarter to quarter how the industry is doing. Can you back into any data for how you see the industry progressing compared to maybe what it was a year ago with, total job openings, total capital that's being deployed to hiring, that kind of stuff?
I feel like I might not be able to give you all the best answer only because our business has been around for 2 years. We're doing really well. Like we're growing a lot. Our team's growing a lot. We're working with bigger and bigger companies. When I interview other recruiters to like recruit for our own team, you constantly hear this like doom and gloom. Oh, it's never been harder or whatever. Like I don't necessarily subscribe to that as much. And I think maybe it's a part of just us doing well versus the macro lens. I can tell you this, that I think in this particular industry, once you grow, a lot of people just start bringing things in-house. And like when you're sub 50 million, sub 20 million, it's agencies and overseas for everything. And then once you're ready to like actually start building out a team, people are bringing them in-house and they're doing everything across emerging channels to their core focus. Emerging channels being like the TikTok shop stuff, or, there's a lot of people doing like YouTube strategists these days too, which is a whole like separate niche. So I see it's less of a macro thing, and it's more of like when a brand is ready to like reach their inflection point and go all in on this, that's when you see them go from like 10 to like 50 overnight. But you can really slow burn it all the way up to like 10 or 20 million without much of a team in place.
That's a great point.
I like how you laid that out up until, a certain point, it's agencies and overseas for everybody. That's a good point. Tell me this, Connor. It's in vogue a little bit. You see it on the timeline a little bit, when it comes to AI, everybody's just kind of looking for, let me just find like an AI czar. We just find somebody that can just come in
Cracked.
and they just tinker, they
Yeah.
just tinker and it's going to solve all my problems. I think that you are against that though. Is that the case?
I don't know. Well, I'm not against it. Like I use AI for stuff. Like I'll use AI for things that like can make my life easier. And a lot of it comes down to like formatting and like quick text generation and stuff like that. And I'm like trying to even mess around with it from like, can we build landing pages faster with AI? And it's good, not great, but I think what I subscribe to is like it's going to get better. But I think that like it's going to get better in the way that like good people are going to amplify it, and it's going to take the baseline of somebody who's not good and bring them up to the standard of AI.
Raise the floor.
And then great people are going to accelerate beyond that. So I don't know. I'm in a bunch of like business owner groups too, and like we're just always chopping it up on like, what are you guys seeing? What are you seeing? I have yet to talk to somebody who has the killer use case. And I have a lot of conversations, I feel like. And a lot of people are excited, and business owners tend to be just optimistic in general. And so they're like trying to find opportunities. I think it can make people more productive right now. I have yet to find true, like, elimination of entire roles. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen. Like, I bet if you previously had to have 10 customer support agents, you'll need 5. I bet if a previous creative strategist could make 40 concepts a week, now they'll make 60. Like, I think that all of that's going to happen. So I'm not naive to that. I think it just means that every individual person's expectation of output is going to rise as technology improves.
Yeah, no, that's the case. That's the case.
So you're a part of, the hiring process. You see the hiring process. You see a lot of the hiring questions.
Yeah.
Famously, there's been some really wild questions that have come out of SpaceX, Elon Musk with crazy questions. All those guys where Google will have some really crazy questions for interviewers. Do you have any that, founders should be asking to these potential candidates, whether that's all across the board, that you really like or that you've pulled out where you're like, this is absolutely fantastic for the D2C e-commerce community?
So I can speak from a recruiter standpoint, right? Like, so we hire a lot of recruiters over here to try to find talent better. And as the team grows, we need that. And like what I've realized for the role specifically of a recruiter is asking the questions of, tell me a time that you've worked really hard on something. Tell me a time that you've been really curious about something. Can be work related, not work related. And to me, that just kind of shows that like they're going down rabbit holes and they give a shit, and like they're actually like spending time on this thing. I think the curiosity piece is so important if you're an e-commerce marketer, because the stuff changes so freaking fast, guys.
It's true.
Like that, like if you're not consuming shows like this, if you're not on X, if you're not on YouTube, if you're not listening to podcasts, like you're just not going to know what to focus on. And you talk to a lot of legacy marketers and you're like, oh, you do what? Like, and so like clearly they're just not like re-educating themselves. And unfortunately, if your education stops after college, then like you're not going to really make it in this space. Like you have to constantly be learning about the trends. So I would say that's a big one. There's also just like 2 ways to really go about this though, from my experience, and 2 hiring philosophies that a lot of e-commerce companies have. Number 1, you see, okay, you're a channel expert. Show me all the things that you can talk about in this channel. What are other brands doing? Who are you looking up for? Like really go deep on the channel expertise. And this applies across everything, right? Like whether you're paid search, whether you're operations and fulfillment, whether you're finance, like talk to me about like really nitty gritty skill set. There's also a lot of hiring managers that don't care about all of that. And it shocks the skill set channel specific hiring managers because they're like, this is so important because they feel like it is. There's other hiring managers who are like, no, we're just going to recruit like X McKinsey, X Bain, and like they're smart people. They're going to figure it out. And like they get in their 90-day ramp and like they're running circles around people who are like, I don't know, like on paper, maybe less intelligent, but have done stuff for 5 years in the industry. So there's 2 hiring philosophies. And I feel like as long as you go one or the other and have people who are smart and curious, that covers most of the boxes.
I am so interested in that, specifically those 2 hiring philosophies of I push back on it, and I am back and forth on it every single day of like, do you go after the ex McKinsey, ex Bain guy who's, dialed in, sharp, great education, went to Wharton, whatever, or do you just go after the dude who is just putting in 12-hour days and is just a grinder and he just figures it out? And I think there's like 2 camps that you sit, and I don't know. Every day I go back and forth on it. That's such a good point you make.
The cool thing is that both work. And I don't think you have to go back and forth. I think it's incredibly situational dependent and just being open to both. But also the reality is too, guys, like there's some people with forces of nature that fall in every camp under the sun. And like, it within the first 3 minutes. And so what I always tell our clients is like, if you're not feeling it in the first 5 minutes of the call, like don't try to force a hire that you aren't jazzed up about. Like you're going to know if they're good or not very, very quickly.
I love that.
I do too. And knowing my strengths and what kind of person I am, I'll take the Wharton hire, man. Give me McKinsey. Give me Isabel Washington. I'm the 12-hour. I'm the 12-hour days. Figure it out. Just get into it and stay up late till 3 a.m. I mean, that's me. So I'll tell you. So give me McKinsey. I want Isabel Washington from Laurels. But tell me this, Connor. I advise a lot of young marketers just here in the Austin area and people that I know and meet, et cetera. And sometimes they interview. I know what kind of skills they have. I know, I wouldn't recommend people if they weren't, but I know that you talk to a lot of these people and you see them at such, man, what's one thing or a few things that you just wish you could just ingrain to everybody who like wants a job and wants to interview? Like, what would you tell them? Like, hey, don't do that. Hey, do this. Like you're missing it. What's on your kind of like dummy list that you wish everybody could just know who wants a job in ecom?
Yeah, I mean, the bar's low, and I don't mean the bar's low. The point of like, there's not the talent out there. Like, there's fantastic talent, but like, I'm constantly surprised. At what people don't do when you feel like it's common sense. Like, you follow up on an interview. You just talk to the guy for 45 minutes, an hour, send him an email and say, hey, it was great to chat with y'all. Would love to be continuing the conversation. Going into the interviews, just like prepared. Like some people are great, but they're also busy. And if you're interviewing Q4 or a busy time of the year, maybe you don't check out the meta ad library ahead of the call or poke around some ideas. Like people love when you come into an interview with ideas on what you can do for them and very clear past examples on how you've grown and like scaled in a specific channel or, meaningfully contributed to a company. So that would be the number one thing. And the best people do that. Like they show up prepared. They're ready to go. Like they've have their notes in front of them. I'd say the thing that I would want to call out slightly though too is the inverse of this question. Like what can companies do? Because this is something that I think in the e-commerce category, once again, is very rare that you'll have so many of these companies who they never have to really try that hard when recruiting international talent because they're paying way above the market pay scale and it's affordable for them. So like the idea of sending somebody a test project and asking them to get on a Loom or whatever like that before you ever speak to them, that doesn't fly for US based talent. And some people might call that entitled or whatever, but like the reality is to recruit truly the best talent, they have a lot of options and you just sell yourself on why you're the place to work. And I think a lot of e-commerce consumer brands forget about that because agencies are pitching them. They have no problem in recruiting international employees because they're paying above the market pay scale. And so as soon as they're ready to start building out their full-time in-house team from like a domestic standpoint and like key leaders, they're like, oh, they should be so lucky to work for me. I'm like, there's 20 other companies that they're interviewing with right now that are
really good point.
More well-known, like, have a straightforward process. So like, I think a lot of times, we work with clients on like, okay, what's the sales pitch? Like, you can't pay as much as the next guy can, but like you have a half day Fridays or like, you get products or like there's a fast track promotion and like, there's a really meaningful opportunity in the market and like get people jazzed up about that. So like at the end of the day, like all hiring it's basically like dating. You're selling yourself on both sides. You don't want to seem too needy on either side. You want to make sure that it's the right fit both ways. And I think the best candidates and hiring managers both know that.
That's sauce.
That is sauce. I think Heart and Soil does a great job at this, where they sell the culture a lot more.
Oh, boy, they do. They do.
No doubt. It is, you get imbued and you're just thinking, once they hire me, I'm going to be jacked and immediately have an 8-pack and start lifting things and sprinting everywhere. It's really well done what they have done and built out.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
Connor, man, we appreciate you making the time and jumping on here. Before you go, you've got to tell us, man. I've heard when people start working with you, they start meeting candidates inside of a week. I mean, something crazy like that. And for people who want to know more, they want to talk to you, they've got a need, and they need your help. Where do they go? Where do they find you? What's that look like?
Yeah, constanthire.com. And feel free to shoot me an email, book a call, DM me on Twitter. I'm around for all of it. So whatever y'all need, I can make myself available.
Connor's going to teach you how to sell yourself, which is necessary when you want top tier talent. Connor, man, we appreciate having you. We're going to look forward to having you back.
Thank you.
Sauce.
Really interesting. The fact that was some sauce. It's really interesting is like, the D2C e-commerce hire is a bit of a unicorn. And some brands need to realize that like, there's not a lot of unicorns out there, folks. You kind of have to sell yourself back to that person. It's not just, oh, I'm the D2C brand, I'm amazing. It's also, hey, this guy's kind of a unicorn running around. He's got a couple things that are options for him.
Yeah. And especially for the kind of people that you want. Every now and again, you uncover a diamond in the rough that is incredible, and they're not aware how incredible they are. Every now and again that happens. They're in a special situation. They're transitioning from a different, industry, and they got great results in their first job. And somehow you found them, you met them. And, sometimes, you discover people like that. But for people who have a few notches on their belt, you got to sell yourself. You got to. And this is a point that A16Z has been making, especially as a small business. Really, as the CEO, you have to sell. They have to want to work for you. You have to sell yourself. You can't pay as high as other people. You can't give as good of benefits and blah, blah, blah. And so they have to want to work for you.
Yeah.
And, it's that common trope that people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. And, there have to be people who want to get in that boat. I want to work for that person. So I find this conversation compelling. I'm really glad that Connor came on, because I think there's a lot of juice there that everybody needs to hear, especially for this next era of AI and what our industry transforms into. There's going to be a lot of things to come that maybe we're not prepared for, and we want the best people in the boat.
For sure. Yeah, the generalist that is coming out of AI that basically does 12 things for your D2C business all under one hat.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And interesting to hear some of those numbers too on, pay scale. The thing, I looked at some of the graphics that Connor has put out, and the thing that I love about ecom, he gave a number, just ballpark creative strategist, he said 90 to 120 or something.
Sure.
I think one of the averages that he put out for, you've been doing it for 0 to 2 years, you can make about 85. Make about 90. Now that is great money starting out. That is like almost double a teacher's salary. Okay. That's all. I always have teacher salary in my mind just because I do, but that's excellent. That's excellent. That's what I love about what we do. But can go up a whole lot more from there with the right seasons and the right years and the right experiences. So anyway, great conversation with him. Before we have John Perro, founder of Levers Health, come in here, we need to talk about Seguno. Ladies and gentlemen, Seguno is the only marketing suite that lives entirely inside of Shopify. Why is that important? It means your emails, your reviews, your banners, etc., they all already live where you work and play, and you don't have to trust some duct tape together integration to genuinely, you hope, sync your data back and forth, your segmentation, etc. Your Shopify data is your email data, okay? This is email 3.0. It's why they won the 2024 Shopify Build App of the Year. One-click automations, actual humans that can help you. They have released an advanced Shopify segmentation playbook that you should go and get, Seguno.com, advanced-Shopify-segmentation-playbook. If you don't have a full-time email marketer already on your team, Seguno was built for you. Lean teams with big aspirations. Go and talk to them. They'll give you a free trial. Many thanks for Seguno being part of the show. Now, we have John Perro coming in here, who sits at, I would say right at the intersection and at the forefront of many waves of the zeitgeist inside of our culture. Telehealth, e-commerce, everything that's happening with GLP-1s and people dropping weight and wanting biomarkers and caring about their health more. We're going to hear about what he has done with his business, and we want to dig into what is going on here and what's coming next inside of health, on e-commerce, etc. Everybody welcome founder John Perro inside the show. Get in here, John.
Wow.
Let's
Get in here.
What an intro. Wow, that is
What an
amazing.
intro.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, brother. We
I
had to
love
get
it.
you
So I actually
in
go by
there.
John Mark or JM. I have
You
two
do.
first names, but
John Mark.
But other
Chris
than
and I are
that,
back
I'm a
and forth.
normal person, I swear.
My boy, John Mark. Well, I like that even better, man. I like John Mark even better. Go ahead, Colin, kick us off.
John Mark, could you talk to us and just educate the folks early on before we start any of this conversation? What is a peptide? Because we keep hearing about it.
Please.
Chris and I just covered a story on GLP-1s basically reshaping fashion. What is a peptide? Everybody wants to know.
Everybody wants to know, and it is such a broad category of molecules that everything's a peptide. Your body makes over 7,000 of them.
Really?
A peptide is a definition of a short chain of amino acids. So amino acids, we have amino acids in our body that do various reactions. When you start to combine amino acids, they become proteins. At some point, basically proteins are amino acids that are over 40 sequences long, and peptides are from 1 to 40. So it's effectively a short protein or a small protein, just a chain of amino acids. Typically, it's one single chain and there's not a bunch of branches. But really, it's just a classification of small molecules, which because they're small, they act very specifically on certain receptors in your body and they turn them on and off. You have over 7,000 endogenous inside your body peptides that you make. And then there are a number of therapeutic peptides, both bioidentical and biosimilar, such as GLP-1s, that are acting on, they're up-regulating, down-regulating, turning switches or levers on and off within your body.
Wow. I think that's the most succinct explanation I have gotten on the internet, John Mark.
There you go.
Man, you seem to be, of course, you got the knowledge, but you seem to be poised to take full advantage of, man, this kind of growing health trend and growing capabilities, you know, for people to drastically affect their health positively. I don't know where GLP-1s and I don't know where they came from. You know, apparently I've got some inside of my body already. The Gila Monster. I don't know where they came from, but man, give us background on levers.
Yeah.
And then how you have started this and then where things are today and what you provide people as they come and discover you and want to better their health.
Certainly. Thank you. What a great tee up too. So the reason I'm passionate about this and the reason I have energy is because it comes from love. I do this because it's changed my life. It truly makes a difference in people's lives, and approaching health optimization and medicine from a place of service rather than making money, I believe is the best place to start. So I had a personal experience where I went through stem cells and regular medicine, alternative medicine, and hyperbaric chambers and the whole thing. And I found so much relief with peptides. Personally, I was like, whoa, there's something here. And as I went down that rabbit hole, that was about 3.5 years ago, I was like, wow, this is incredible. More people need this. And there were thousands of doctors that were prescribing peptides, getting them from regulated compounding pharmacies and doing it in a tested, safe way. Now, many of these compounds are not FDA approved, so they always existed in this regulatory gray area because they're very hard to patent and they're very hard to protect. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. People need more of this. I found a doctor as a business partner, and we started Levers at the tail end of 2023, at which point the FDA came out and said, hey, all these peptides that everyone's using that are very safe and very effective, like you can't actually compound these anymore. It wasn't illegal, but they basically flagged them as high risk because they succumbed to pressure from the pharmaceutical interests, which can't patent them and doesn't love them. Yeah. So at that point, we pivoted and we went GLP-1. We believe in GLP-1s. GLP-1s, the weight loss medications, Ozempic, Mounjaro Ozempic is the Model T. Like this is a new era of amazing compounds for weight management, for glycemic control, for all these other things, for potentially neuroprotection and reducing inflammation in the brain and all these other things. So at that point, we said, okay, we will sell GLPs like everyone else, and we'll go the white hat approach. We'll get all the certification, the doctors, and the whole thing. And the question was, can we build a brand based on service and trust? And can we compete with, a million players in the space, right? Everyone sells GLPs. And the answer was yes. And we're bootstrapped, and we've slowly been growing that service engine over time. And now 2026, peptides are like what you said, in the zeitgeist, right? When we started this, people were like, no one's going to inject themselves, right? No one's going to do that. It's like, well, they will for GLPs, and they will once they realize what these things do. Yes. And so now people are getting educated. People are frustrated with a lack of safe alternative options out there. And they are doing this on their own in this entire gray area, like black market peptides, research chemicals from China. It's a meme at this point, right? Like I've got these chemicals in my blood. And so where we are at is we're bringing those peptides back. That was always our original thesis. We're doing it safe, doing it compliant. We have licensed, vetted compounding pharmacies that do third-party testing, sterility, potency, purity, pH, endotoxins, chips on ice. It's real peptides for real people, and it's not like a kit. And what we want to do is we want to make it a little more easy and accessible for people. So it's not, it's not a cure-all. It's not magic, but they're amazing compounds. So where we're at today is we do all the standard stuff. Actually, NAD, which is not a peptide. I just shot myself with some. That's where the energy goes.
You're wired then. You
are, man. You are.
I was filming an ad. NAD. What was I talking about? NAD. Oh, yeah. So we do that. NAD is actually our top sellers. It's one of my favorites.
Nice.
But we're bringing the other peptides back. You could book a free call with us now. We'll tell you all about them. It is a still very regulated and interesting environment. Hard to run ads for. I liken it to where CBD and THC were several years ago. It's legal. Hard to get payment processing, hard to get insurance, and all of those things. And then the way we approach it, which is I love this, is like we're on Shopify. I think we have more in common with e-commerce companies than healthcare companies, because we focus on service. We focus on the experience. We focus on value. We're very competitive, right? And of course, we have the medical backing. Of course, we're building out the portals. We're launching comprehensive blood work this year. That will be a big piece of our offering that says, hey, you're doing all these things. Let's measure it. Let's put it on a dashboard. Let's track it over time. And then we're rolling out hormone therapies as well. And where we're at with medicine right now, it's just such an exciting time because all these other things are coming online soon. Gene therapy and clotho and all these things that I don't even fully understand and we don't really know about yet, but it's just such a cool time for medicine in general that Levers becomes the vehicle that's based on service, that's rooted in trust and safety for people to come get those things.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I mean, it is incredible.
It's fun. I love it. I love it. What time? I'm so glad I stumbled into this.
Me too, man.
Can you talk a little bit about navigating kind of the e-commerce and Shopify? Because you're right, you have to market this similar to the way that the CBD folks do. How are you navigating that where you still have a business to run? You still have a business to scale. Chris and I are kind of from the old way of Shopify where it's just meta ads up and to the right, put more budget into meta ads. Okay, good. Keep going. New creative, good. And it's a little, you have a lot more steps nuance to go over.
Yeah.
There's so much more nuance. You're also dealing with form sign up. Like, talk us through all that.
Yeah. So there's like advertising legality, and then there's everything else. Okay. On the everything else side, you have patents, drug companies, Eli Lilly and Novo. They hate telehealth companies because we sell oftentimes compounded versions of their drugs, which is legal to do in certain situations that everybody takes advantage of, and they are trying to shut down. So there is a whole GLP are their own category of compliance and risk. The FDA, there's a new lawsuit, there's a new thing going on probably every week. And so that's an interesting space to be in. We really stand behind what we offer there and we are compliant. And so that's nice. Now we have to work with lawyers and really pay attention as what's going on there. Then you have the other drugs, the NAD, the peptides and some things like that, which are not FDA approved, nor are they patentable. So they kind of exist in a different space. It's a little more like prescription wellness, but they are very effective. You can't say a lot of things with advertising. All advertising is regulated by a company called LegitScript. LegitScript is the policeman of telehealth on the internet. I always hear rumor of who they're owned by, but basically without Logiscript, you can't get payment processing, and without payment processing, you really can't do anything. And so Logiscript, you kind of have to play by Logiscript's rules. They're tough. They're like the mafia. It's a pay to play situation. Your pharmacies have to be Logiscript certified. You have to be Logiscript certified. If you're even affiliated with a business they don't like, they'll shut you down. And so maintaining their compliance is one thing. And then there's this whole other like interesting space where pharmaceutical companies are very heavily regulated with what they sell online, right? And there's always disclaimers and all this stuff like that. And then telehealth companies, which exist in a funny structure legally, like we are a technology company, we don't practice medicine. So telehealth companies, and what we do is we contract doctors and doctors groups, and they practice medicine. And what that does is by removing yourself one step, it allows companies like Hims and Hers and us and these other people to advertise in ways that the drug companies can't. And that also creates attention, which the current administration is trying to shut down. You shouldn't be able to make claims, right? This isn't, like I said, it's not magic. It's also not snake oil. So how do you approach that and not get shut down and not get in trouble? For the non-FDA approved stuff, there's less people coming after you for that because it's mostly the advertising platforms, because Novo Nordisk doesn't stand to lose money if I'm selling NAD. But if I'm selling GLP or semaglutide, they do. Yeah. And so they very heavily prosecute GLP companies. And again, there are legal ways to do that. It's always shifting. But yeah, so it's interesting, and we're always dealing with ad rejections, and there's clever work, there's agents, there's a whole ecosystem of people to support these types of businesses. We today are like, we haven't had to do any of that because we follow the rules, but there's always kind of like backup options. And a lot of people are doing like affiliate programs, influencers, which is also kind of illegal. Like you cannot incentivize a creator or a doctor to get paid based on the number of prescriptions they give. That's called a pill mill. That is like done ADHD. I believe their founder either went to jail or was heavily prosecuted for shelling out Adderall, a controlled substance. Oof. And basically playing too fast and loose with that. So it is very, compliance is super important. And again, that's where we want to take a stance as a company that says, maybe we can't sell all the things we want to sell, but we're going to do this in a way that keeps us on Shopify, keeps us in the, at kind of that gold standard level, while constantly pushing for what we know to be true and what we know to be right too, and what people want.
Yeah. Wow.
But I would say payment processing and advertising, that's the hardest piece to figure out. The medical side, you have 50 states with 50 different laws too, and they all have different pharmacy laws and stuff like that. So there's a piece there. It's all figure outable though. It's like,
man, the fact that you are motivated and willing to figure it out, I think that's got to be a big part of your long-term success. I mean, the more you describe it, the more kind of knotted that situation seems, but I'm glad that you're doing it. I mean, like we've been saying, I mean, alternative forms of health or new developments around health and people finding real relief from chronic things that they've been experiencing are worthwhile, for people to invest in and to get their problems solved. Man, I think if I understand correctly, man, you guys are bootstrapped, and man, despite the difficulty of the the netted acquisition playbook, man, you guys are bootstrapped and you're growing like a weed from what it looks like on my end.
Yeah. There's a few. Yeah, we are. Oh, and it's never as fast as you want it to be. The other side of this too is a lot of healthcare companies. We're a dime a dozen, right? There's a million telehealth companies out there. A lot of them treat the back end, the medical, the compliance as a white labelable solution. They go with third-party entities that say, hey, we'll give you the doctors, we'll give you the pharmacies, just play by our rules. We give you this kind of blended rate. And telehealth companies effectively become marketing agencies. And that's the whole game they play. And then they go to affiliates. And if they're just playing a cat game, and how well can we do marketing? We've decided to own that whole stack. We contract our own doctors. We have our own PCs. We have our own clinical standards that we follow, which allows us to consolidate all data in one place. We don't have to mix it. Ultimately, it's in service of a better service experience, because that's what happens is these companies white label the whole thing, and then it sucks for the customer. And so my thesis is, as a brand, how are we going to compete with all these smart people that are pouring into the space? It has to be on service, and it has to be on brand. No one's building a brand. No one is wearing a hims and hers hat out there because they don't stand for anything. And so Levers, as a brand, we stand for sovereignty. We stand for people that do the work. We stand for people that want a better way, and we will help them and kind of be a partner in that journey. And so that's kind of the big focus this year, that says, hey, we were kind of drop shippers at the beginning. Hey, let's be real. We're running hacky ads. And even today, it's like, hey, everything could be better, right? But now where we're going is, okay, let's actually build a brand. We're doing some live events here pretty soon. We're doing more education, we did a workout pop-up where we gave people NAD shots. And that's fun for me on the brand side, to like, oh, let's actually like grow up into a real company here. So we are bootstrapped. We're looking for some growth hires. We might raise.
Oh man, tell us. I mean, tell us, because I have heard this. I think I saw a post about this. You are looking for a growth hire, right?
We are, yeah. So head of growth, we have a few people in the pipe, really, really cool people in the pipeline right now. Possibly a marketing director to complement that person a little more on the brand and the experience side and on content, as well as an amazing clinical operator too. Someone who knows healthcare, who's in the weeds of that, but is also very technical. So we're developing our own patient portal, blood work, analysis, dashboards, and all that stuff. And again, those solutions you can bolt on and create this patchwork of a bad service experience, in my opinion. But the way we're doing it is we'd prefer to build that ourselves. And it's causing us to go a little slower. And maybe we raise this year. I've kind of kicked that around. I believe in this business, in this industry so much that I'm ready to personally guarantee a few $1 million of debt and just do it like an SBA.
Just do it, baby. Wow.
One of the really inspiring things, and you brought them up, so I'll bring it up again, is HIMS. And if you're a data nerd, if you're a financial nerd, and you're poring over their P&L and looking into their customer LTV, spoiler alert for anyone listening, it is massive.
It's significant.
We're talking $1,100 to $1,500 for an e-commerce business to achieve a $1,100 to $1,500 LTV is basically, I don't know, Chris, that's a unicorn of a unicorn.
Oh, for sure.
Where now this is propped up from a, macro trend. And then you also have the financials behind it. I just see this business going up and to the right so much more, just because you have so much going behind you. It's absolutely incredible.
I think something that you have highlighted several times here, John Mark, is that you have a service element that you're committed to, that you are involved in, that you guys refuse to outsource, that I think is only going to serve this extensive possible LTV, that it's only going to serve it more. And I think that's what people long for inside of the healthcare space, telehealth, et cetera. They want somebody that cares, and they want somebody that will listen and that will be involved at every step down the line, and give them genuine advice, not just kind of run of the mill, just, take this, pop that, et cetera. But somebody that will listen to them and come up with unique solutions. Yes, try this, do that, et cetera. That to me really sets you apart from, what people are used to inside of the space. Is that fair?
It's fair, and I think there's such a human element. I think every business is a service business at the end of the day, and people are coming to us for very unique and personal, either whether it's an acute problem or they just want to feel better. Those are very personal things that's touching every part of their life. Like, I think of health as the foundation of a good life, and so for people coming to us and spending a lot of money, they're going to want a good experience. And so I think focusing on that, my business hero is Howard Schultz, and he's just and Danny Meyer, and they're just so service focused. They're obsessed with people. It's that's why I love consumer so much. My background's engineering. I've never worked in consumer before. And I just love serving people. And I'm like, oh, this is it for me. And so I think focusing on that. And then there's also a fine line of, people are very unique, but then there's also personas and categories and things like that. And so striking the balance between a really high touch concierge experience and run of the mill, put everyone in a box and deliver you can't do the concierge for everyone because it's too expensive and this industry is so competitive. So you have to use tools like AI, you have to use chatbots and things like that. But layering in that mindset of service, layering in real people to actually like listen to people and hear their problems, I think is important. And how that scales will be interesting. Like we're pretty operationally efficient, but navigating that balance in an increasingly digital world, right?
Yeah.
Is really interesting, where people want to be treated like people. They want to be respected. Nobody wants to feel like a number. And we don't want anyone to feel that way. And so, yeah, I'm hoping, I think that's one of our theses, is that service and brand become like the experience matters. And then of course we're going to have to compete on price and marketing and everything else like everyone else. But I do think it's a big space. And I think everyone has fear of like the incumbents, right? Of hims and hers, of like, how do we compete with a vertically integrated pharmacy that, you know, sells medicine for what we pay for it sometimes. And it's like, oh God. Now we do have really good prices, but yeah, it's an interesting space. And I really hope that continues to shine through as we grow.
Well, I'm bullish.
Go ahead, Cal.
Yeah. I would love to nerd out about one specifically, because Chris and I have basically talked a lot about GLP-1s and their effects, their knock-on effects on the economy and everything. Could you dive into the clinical trials of retatrutide, which is a GLP-3, and compare that to what is going on with the GLP-1? And in my mind, I am thinking, once this thing goes into the wild, what is going to go on in America?
You know, it's so interesting. So Coachella's coming up in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Everyone at Coachella is going to be like way hotter this year. Like this is the summer of
hottest Coachella.
This is peptide summer about to come up, and it's widening the gap.
Wow.
So if you were already hot and you're doing peptides, you're probably hotter.
Wow.
Let's go.
Everyone's on the GLPs. I think of them it could be retatrutide. It could be one of the other 10 in development and in the pipeline. Sure. They're only getting better. Like I said, Ozempic was the first mass market. It was the Model T. Why? Yeah. Because it has a longer half-life. Ozempic's not the first GLP. GLPs have been around for decades, but the half-life was so short and they were very ineffective over time. And so Ozempic was the first one with staying power due to adherence, right? Because people could actually take it, and then the results were very good. Then, so that's semaglutide. Then tirzepatide came out. Ozempic, semaglutide work on one receptor, GLP-1, which regulates appetite, satiety, the rate at which your stomach empties into your small intestine. So it actually keeps you full for longer. It does have, it increases insulin secretion, which then lowers your blood sugar, because the insulin pushes the sugar into the cells. So it's good. It was approved for diabetes and all these things. So really promising. Semaglutide, tried and true, still works, still great. Tirzepatide came out kind of generation 2 of they added a second hormone called GIP. Also works on satiety, food regulation, and I believe it's lipolysis, basically like how your body processes and stores fat. So tirzepatide is about 50% more effective than semaglutide in the clinical data. It's more expensive. It's owned by Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly, buy some stock. I would. Eli Lilly is like the clear leader in GLPs right now. Now everybody else is launching GLPs too. So that's the 2 hormone agonist, and there's several companies also developing agonist. Means it basically binds to that receptor. Other ones that target GIP2. Tirzepatide, slightly fewer side effects. You can microdose it. We have a microdose program. So people are now doing this for inflammation reduction, potential longevity effects, neuroprotection. This is all early. It's not like clinical yet. ANIC data. And then retatrutide, ratatouille, hard R, is the next one. It's Gen 3. And it works on glucagon, a third receptor, which in the clinical data, what's so nice about retatrutide is you do not have the muscle wasting associated with rapid weight loss on the other drugs. So anytime you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose a fraction of muscle and fat. And people criticize GLPs for people that, you're losing too much muscle and then you're going to gain back fat. And that's true if you're not eating protein and working out. But if you're doing it right, they're incredibly effective, any class of drugs. Now, retatrutide is the best at muscle preservation, and it's the most exciting clinically so far. But there's other ones coming too. There's oral ones. There's like again, this is a whole. I think we'll all be on GLPs at some point in our lives. I take a microdose of tirzepatide myself. I think tirzepatide is the current gold standard. We don't sell retatrutide because we follow the law, and retatrutide is not legal and won't be for a while. And then Eli Lilly is doing everything in their wheelhouse to protect that molecule, including adding extra little things, classifying it as a biologic so it can't be compounded. They're suing the FDA. They're suing. Whoa. It's like they're so they lost some money. They made, I believe, $40 billion on tirzepatide last year. And increasing, I think Q3 was like a 50% increase over Q2, and it's still going up.
Man,
and they lost about $1 billion of revenue to the compounding industry. And so, like a billion out of 40, it's kind of a rounding error. But they're very sensitive to protect the new one, and they will prosecute anyone who sells it. So, if you're going to do it, get it from somewhere that you trust. Because the other thing here is like the safety and the quality. There's so much of this just coming over the border. None of it's tested. Everyone says it's made in the USA. No, they get what's called API, active pharmaceutical ingredients, from overseas. They maybe test it for potency only. They bottle it here and they say manufactured in the USA. And that's how people do that. And then pharmacies are the only places by law that are required to test every single batch and do potency, sterility, all those things I mentioned.
I see.
On batches of 200. And so just the level of safety is a lot higher. Retatrutide is really exciting. I'd say tirzepatide might be a better option if you're looking for something a little more tried and true and safe and legal.
Sure.
But it's all coming down the pipeline, which is exciting.
But
last thing.
Go ahead. Yes.
Microdosing. These things are effective. You guys are healthy looking chaps, right?
Thank you.
These things are very effective at low and micro doses, which is exciting too, to where it's, some people might want to just take the edge off a little bit. And my thesis is like, hey, if this is going to help your life and to make you healthier in just a little bit, like, you should be allowed to do that. But they're also incredible for the real patients that really need this stuff. Life-changing drugs, lower incidence of heart attacks, cancer. It's showing to be anti-cancer, reducing sleep apnea. Women are getting pregnant that couldn't get pregnant before. It's targeting PCOS, which is a blood sugar and an insulin.
Oh yeah.
And like all these things where it's like people like to focus on. There are crazy serious side effects for some people. Very small instances. You have millions of people on these drugs. There's going to be bad side effects, but the net effect of all of them is just incredible.
John Mark, a few things that stand out as you've been talking. Number one, you are deeply passionate. I mean, this business you're dialed and you're passionate. Number two, you're cracked as far as everything that's happening in the space, man. You're aware, you're focused.
Yeah.
Number three, man, you are service oriented. And number four, I mean, brother, you got the wind at your back. And as you've been talking, it's a kind of a, it's a mysterious place. There's people are using words I don't understand, etc. I mean, I don't know why somebody wouldn't go talk to John Mark. I mean, if you're looking for help on this, you need to go to Levers.
We got you.
And I'll say this. I'm going to recommend somebody to you. That perhaps you should talk to for that head of growth position, because man, I think you got a bright future, even brighter than you already are. And man, we appreciate you coming on the show and giving us insight on what's happening in telehealth and the e-com opportunity, man, that you guys are taking full advantage of. We love to see it, brother.
Thank you, Aaron, Colin. You guys are awesome. Thank you for having me. This is like, I need more e-commerce friends. So
brother,
reach out
we're here.
Find me on Instagram, John Mark Apparel. Let's I love this space. I love working with other operators, right? I can tell, like, our calls have just been so great.
For sure.
So thank you. I appreciate that. The theme this year is leaders, right? Mm-hmm. My vision for this company is like this, with the right people around me. I want real, like, high agency operators and leaders that want to make this like 100x, 1000x. we're in the perfect little pocket right now. And
Yeah.
I guess my thing is like, I don't want to miss the wave that I've been preparing for. Right. So it's
Yeah.
time to add fuel to the fire.
It's time.
Let's go.
John Mark, we appreciate you joining. We look forward to having you back, brother.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
man.
Great to see you.
Hi.
He's dialed.
Absolutely dialed in.
I honestly, I appreciate insight into the whole telehealth space and how the advertising works and who are the players you got to be aware of. I mean, he mentioned legit script, I think is what it was, and how you have to be working with him. I mean, that's all knowledge I didn't have. I really appreciate him bringing that to bear. Man, they're set up to succeed. They're set up to succeed.
And he's hiring, folks. He's hiring multiple marketing roles. If you listen to the show, it's almost like we give you jobs that you should be, applying for.
It's almost
like that.
It's almost like you should DM us. Is what I'm saying.
Maybe shoot us a DM. We could directly talk to him.
I'm definitely going to forward one name in particular to him, but it's almost like you should DM us. Okay, before we move forward, let's see. We already talked about Seguno. Jack, are we missing anyone? Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Well, we've got let's hit our lightning round, and in order to really hit this lightning round well, we need to go back one. And I'm talking about the KFC puffer that just released in terms of unique product. Look at this. KFC's pickle buffer is real. Yes, you can drink from it. Be for real. How badly do you want to rock this? Okay, I don't want to rock it, and I don't want to drink it because it kind of grosses me out. But it is unique, and it stands out on the timeline. Nonetheless, there's no way they're actually going to sell this thing. I mean, is that fair?
That's so fair. I mean, I just imagine you walking down the street with this in New York City and some guy coming up to you and just popping this.
Yeah, for sure. This is like a mess waiting to happen. I hope
such a mess.
Yeah, I hope. I'm sure it'll get pictured and snapped and tweeted if people see you with it out in the wild, but would not recommend. Olaplex next. Olaplex has been acquired, and you were big on this one this morning. Drew Fallon tweeted this: Hinkle to acquire Olaplex in 1.4 billion take private. Hinkle has agreed to acquire Olaplex Holdings for approximately 1.4 $2.06 per share, 90% discount to the 21 IPO price from September 2021. Ouch. And a 54% premium to yesterday's close. I was not even aware of who Olaplex is, to be honest. This is the first that I've heard of them. They sound like they're huge. What are your thoughts on this?
I've spent an ungodly amount of money on Olaplex for my fiance.
Really?
Believe me, once they endow themselves with a customer, they stick with that customer, and they're ungodly expensive. Unfortunately, it is very good though. I've stolen some myself, and I've tried it.
Okay,
it's
you
really
like
good.
it.
I love it.
Why did they take a 90% discount? I mean, it sounds like 2021 they sold for a bunch, and then it sounded like things didn't go that well, and so now somebody's taking them private for a 90% discount.
Yeah, the stock was not trading properly, and it seems like right when they went public, they were not executing well. But they're taking it back private. Someone bought it, I believe, at a 4x multiple, which is pretty solid for them. And if they can just get this thing right and build out the systems inside of this and clean it up, I mean, you can really have a great business on your hands here. Chris, I talk all about subscription businesses, loyal customer base, premium products. This hits a ton of those, nice thesis. This is a great business if you can get your hands on it and go.
Well, maybe they'll have a great resurrection story here after being taken private and scaling to the moon. We shall see. Yeah. Very interesting, to say the least. Next, Andrea Diak. Is this person real or not? Okay, so if you are not aware, Andrea Diak, are you hip? Do you know what's going on here? Okay,
I have no idea though.
Okay. Here's the question. Andrea Diak, obviously a beautiful woman. Okay. On the timeline, she has 212 followers. Her posts have been going viral. Okay. I say viral. Her posts have been getting significant views despite starting from zero, no followers, etc. Her campaign is, hey, I'm starting day one and I'm building a wellness ecom brand with zero experience. Here's what I'm doing. And then pictures come and tweets come. And, you've been getting a lot of follows and views, but there's been a conspiracy theory that maybe Andrea Diak is not an actual person, and perhaps somebody is just creating, her on an AI tool of some sort, which is fair. I mean, people do this all day long, and you retweet the playbook, and you get the playbook for how you can make 500 UGC ads, while you sleep, etc. Then she released this one this morning where it looks like there is a man standing in the mirror.
So strange.
Day 8, building an ecom brand with zero experience. Can you show this again, Jack? Day 8, building an ecom brand with zero experience. Can't hide forever. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know if she's real or not. What do you think?
AI. I'm calling it now. AI.
Okay, AI. We shall see. I'm sure it'll come out officially at some point. Nate Lagos is sharing a frustrating experience with customer lifecycle strategy. This is the opposite of what Tori Rowe was telling us yesterday. Now, I don't think it's necessarily with the tool in general. I think it's largely because something happened in his Meta account and his campaigns and such were switched without him knowing. I try not to complain about Meta much because advertising on Meta has made me rich relatively. I'm still poor. I'm still a poor compared to some of y'all. But they rolled out a new targeting feature on our account last week, without telling us. Conversion rate of Meta traffic decreased by 47%. My team and I have been panic pulling levers, trying to fix it, double checking every landing page, every add to cart button, and I'm losing sleep over it. Our Meta rep finally confirms today that they rolled this out the exact day performance tanked. We're a brand that does everything possible to exclude existing customers from our prospecting campaigns. We even pay a separate software, waste not, to help make sure we're not advertising to past customers. And then, without notifying us, Meta sets all of our active campaigns to target both new and existing customers. That is a problem. It's a good thing. I've already, he says he's driving to go solve it with whiskey, whatever. That is a good point. I mean, it sounds like it's not customer lifecycle strategy in general. It's just that somewhere in the night, all of their prospecting campaigns got switched to reach new and existing customers with the new customer life cycle strategy implementation without them knowing, and conversion rate down quite a bit. Not good. Nobody likes to see that.
Chris, I was out. And you know what? This pulled me back in. I was out yesterday when Tori had great things to say about Meta. And you know what? Nate pulled me right back into the hatred.
Whatever.
Just with this, he pulled me right back in.
Whatever.
I feel betrayed. I feel hurt. And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
Well, nobody likes it. But sometimes, I'll just say there are bright minds on the timeline who would purport, and I will reference Taylor Holiday again. He says it's probably the greatest piece of software ever created. So
fair.
Sometimes you got to take your lumps, Sometimes you got to take your lumps. Nobody likes it, but hey, I would say good news for Nate. You know what it is now. Thank the Lord. And also, probably that one's probably explainable to the CEO, founder. Hey, Meta did something on us. We all hate it. We were looking at it, deep diving into it for a week. Now, what would not have gone well was like, yeah, performance stinks. I hadn't checked it for a week. I wonder why. Now that one would be hard to explain, but I think he's covered here. I think he's covered, and he knows what's going on now. Lastly, Jason Howe is hiring 4 creative strategists. Happy to announce that after some intense weeks of hiring, by the way, we have got a jam-packed hot jobs tomorrow. Hot jobs that nobody else knows about, by the way. We've got a jam-packed hot jobs. We have secured the first of 4 new creative strategist hires, and we're in the midst of making a second offer. Not that anyone cares. Sweaty face, maybe a crying face. We are turning our attention now to app-loving and TikTok organic roles. DMs open. Jason, we are going to we should retweet this one specifically. And we can draw some more eyeballs here. You should go work with Jason Howe. He keeps their business private, And that's because they're doing incredibly well. Many thanks to Connor Gross for joining the show, giving us the lowdown on what's happening inside of hiring in e-com. Many thanks to John Mark for giving us a window into telehealth, GLPs, and what's coming around the bend. Many thanks to Incense, Seguno, Postscript, and AMP for making this show possible. Colin, anything before we should go?
Rock and roll. Get ready for hot jobs tomorrow.
Rock and roll. Get ready for hot jobs tomorrow. You will not be here. We're going to miss you.
I will not be here.
You will not be here. But Cody Whittick will be here.
Yeah.
Cody Whittick will be here in your stead. And we've got two incredible guests that will be joining us as well. Thanks for joining us today. We will see you tomorrow. Catch you on the other side.